Well, good morning, everybody. This is Lex, and here we are again with another episode of Azure on Air. At the second day of the Integrate conference here in London. With me, I have Toon from Houten. He's from Belgium. He's CTO at Noest. And we're going to talk a little bit about the session that he has just delivered earlier this morning. Feel free to introduce yourself a little bit before.
Yes, so Ton van Houten from Belgium, dad of two fantastic kids, big cycling fan, and indeed the CTO of Noest. So it's a local community with Microsoft enthusiasts where we try to make people's world smarter and more efficient by crafting solutions on the Microsoft stack.
So Noest is a corporation.
Yeah, it's a company. Like. Yes.
Okay. So you're the CTO there, but besides that, you also have other community roles. For example, it's not really the first time that you're here at Integrate.
Definitely. I think the sixth time, if I'm not mistaken.
Like this. And
so I'm quite active in the community, blogging and speaking these kind of things.
Correct.
As long as it's about technology that I'm passionate about, so I like to share my experiences.
And in the past, we've also done some other podcasts.
Yep, indeed, yes.
That was about AI and
Gen AI, yes, indeed, yes.
That was really nice. That's not our topic of today.
No.
Earlier today, you delivered a session about common mistakes.
Yes, indeed.
People, might fall into when developing Azure solutions and deploying Azure solutions. For that, you have interviewed quite a bunch of people.
Yeah, indeed.
Before we go to the actual cases, can you tell a little bit about the process, how it go, how the feedback was?
Yeah, so actually I think I started already 3 years ago with the concept. I did a few sessions already. I started with my biggest mistakes, Azure mistakes I want you to learn from. But the idea is people always think, wow, those guys are on stage, they never make mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes. And you need to dare to come out of the comfort zone. I think that's very important. And if you make mistakes, just take responsibility to set things right. And hopefully you learn from it. And my idea is let not only me learn from it, but the whole community. So it started with my biggest Azure mistakes. Then I went to the Belgium level. So I started interviewing Belgium Azure professionals. I contacted them. Some ignored me. Some gave really good feedback. And for Integrate, I did a special session. So we went for the world's biggest Azure integration mistakes, or really with the focus on integration. But the goal is share mistakes and learn from it, so you don't make the same mistakes again.
Exactly. In the end, that's key, and that's also what the community is about, right? We indeed share knowledge, not just about the best practices, but also about errors that you could prevent.
Yeah, because I think that sticks longer than sometimes best practices.
Certainly.
That person made that mistake, so let's not make the same mistake
let's not
again.
do it again. We have both worked at Codit.
Yes.
Not overlapping. Of course, you were in Belgium. I was in the Netherlands.
Yes.
Back then, I had a manager, and he said, and it's just so true, making an error is a gift. Because it provides an opportunity to learn.
Indeed.
And if you learn, you improve, and you won't make the same mistake again.
At the moment itself, it doesn't feel like a gift because, of course, the business could be impacted, and you need to solve issues, and you're under stress. But afterwards, you can consider it as a gift.
Correct. So you have spoken to quite some people. How did you do it? Something like form, or did you interact with people? Or?
I've contacted persons I know on LinkedIn. I contacted them through WhatsApp. I did also an announcement and with the Microsoft form that they could share their mistakes. So just trying to contact as many people I know in the community. I got quite some response, so I was happy with it.
Nice. Well, I was most of your sessions, and I see indeed several good, familiar people from the community who responded and who have provided their learnings and situations they came across, not necessarily where they made the mistake themselves, but at least found something that went wrong, which could have been better. So that's really nice. Can you give a couple of examples that happened?
Maybe I like to start with my mistake, of course, because it's easy to ask others to share their mistake, but you need to lead by example. So what I did, I had a solution, a document that got uploaded on blob storage. We needed to process it as soon as possible. So therefore, we configured Event Grid as the trigger mechanism and send out a webhook to a serverless function. So actually a good design, because with the webhook you have fast reaction time. From the moment document gets uploaded, we can get started. Serverless also good because you don't want to pay at night if nobody uses the platform, and sometimes you need to scale up a little bit. So all was good, but I'm coming from a Bristol background and I have always a little bit safety, like if something happens, maybe I need to put the messages that I processed aside. So if I need to reprocess them, I just need to copy paste them and we can resubmit them again. So I archived the messages, but on the same storage account. And in that way, an endless loop got created. And an endless loop on your own machine, you see that immediately because memory and CPU is going on. But in the clouds, you don't see that. You see it actually 1 or 2 months later on your bill, on your invoice. So that was a learning for me. And since then, if we do projects at customers, one of the first questions we always talk about, dear customer, do you have a governance, this and that? And one of the main aspects there is, do you have cost control? Do you have budget alerts or these kinds of things?
Yeah.
That's,
Because
everybody can make mistakes. Maybe I will make it again. I don't know, but it was a costly mistake. I can guarantee you.
But technically, how did you fix it? Because you said
quite easily. Fixing it was actually just adding an extra filter on your Event Grid subscription that just only took into account the documents in a specific folder and not for the whole storage account. So to fix it, it was a 1-minute fix. But I think 6K was wasted.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
quite an expensive mistake.
So indeed, that clearly was a costly one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, cost management is important anyway.
Indeed.
Anything that happens in the cloud, there is some cost with it. So good FinOps practices is always a good
definitely
idea. Of course, that's very clear, but very painful indeed if you're confronted with something like that.
Indeed, and definitely on the customer side, it's even more painful.
True. What's next? Ricardo also had a case where a website was hacked, if I remember correctly.
Not really a website, but actually it was an organization where they wanted to democratize integration. So that's everybody can create logic apps and stuff, which is a good thing. But there they had a developer. He went to the Azure portal, created a logic app, started making connectors, logging into these connectors and stuff. He did actually quite well. There was also monitoring foreseen. So if a logic app failed, you got a notification on Teams and so on. So actually doing a good job. But then suddenly his account, his Azure AD or Microsoft Entra ID nowadays account got locked because it became part of an hacking attempt. His account got compromised, and then from security perspective, it got locked because there were too many suspicious attempts to log in, which is a good thing. But then suddenly, a few hours later, integration started failing all over the place. But the reason was that person, he was logged in these connectors with its own user account. And that's, of course, dangerous. Also, the notifications didn't work because they were also using his user account and stuff. So eventually, systems and integrations, they should not run under a user account. That's actually the lesson learned. And that's sometimes difficult because also within the Power Platform, you have the Power Automate functionality, which is kind of, I call it the little brother of Logic Apps or the little sister. Let's be open on that. But you can do quite a lot with Power Automate, but it's mostly running also on a user account. So use that for personal productivity, use that for app connectivity in a user context, but don't use it for enterprise integration. That's a little bit the message we want to give there.
Yeah, true, but that's also really the difference between Power Automate and let's say IaaS and let's say logic apps indeed.
There's a difference, but on the other hand, they are very similar. You can do similar things. You can also go to an FTP server and process stuff and put it in SAP. But Power Automate is just not made for that because it runs under a user account. Please go for a logic apps. You have the enterprise readiness, you have the networking features, you have everything that you need. Power Automate will never have these. It's a small subset, which is good for user productivity, personal productivity, but not for enterprise grade.
Personal life a little bit easier, but not that kind of
So a lot of people are not aware of that.
No, true.
Or they are aware and they just ignore it. That could also be.
Well, it works. What the heck? Let it go.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing, right? I mean, with Power Automate, it's one script, and it's just that user entity that's being used. While with let's say a little bit more mature integration solution, of course you might need that user identity to access an API or logic app or whatever. But after that, you can start using service accounts,
definitely,
manage identities, and
you can still pass the user context, of course, that you still know it's on behalf of that user.
Yeah, that's still important, but at least you are not using that user account anymore.
Yeah, indeed.
In itself, it's a very old lesson, right? I mean, also in your BizTalk days, or when you were developing client-server applications, the practices were just the same, right?
Definitely.
You don't use probably also the user account will have very different permissions than what you would.
And that's, of course, I wouldn't say the problem with democratization of integration. I only support that, we need to do it. But of course, some rules need to be there. And what we now often do in bigger organizations is that we say Logic Apps has also a lot of connectors where you can log in with your user. Let's just disable them. So you can actually create an Azure policy on your top level, and with that Azure policy you can actually forbid to create connections like Instagram, like going to Teams and these kind of things. So if you really want to have control as an organization on that, you can create an Azure policy. The documentation of Microsoft Learn is very simple to follow, but so that's a good prevention mechanism if you really want to sleep on both ears that nobody uses these connectors.
Well, I still didn't really manage to sleep on 2 ears, but I understand.
It's difficult,
I understand.
I try it every night.
What else is there? Yeah, also Bill, he had a nice situation that was about queuing.
Yeah, indeed, yes. So Bill, coming from a BizTalk background, also like us, indeed, yes. Simple integration, and they wanted to have decoupling. So they had a receive side of the integration. They published the message on Service Bus, and then they received it with the Logic app and subscribe on it and do whatever stuff they wanted. But Bill did that with Logic App Standards. So he designed the whole solution, convinced the customer, everything fine. And then they started developing, and suddenly they seen, the Logic App Standard connector does not support the peak lock pattern. So the peak lock pattern to make sure that you have at least once reliability when reading messages. So that was an issue. Afterwards, after a few weeks, months, I don't know exactly, the peak lock became available, but only for stateless workflows. And then after a while, it became available for stateful workflows, but still with a little workarounds. I heard from the product team that they are also getting rid of that workaround. It's all solved for you under the hood. But there, the lesson learned from Bill was from, if you use a connector and it's maybe an important connector in your enterprise architecture, don't consider that it works like you expect, but give it a try. Do a little proof of concept, a little pilot.
Correct.
Because otherwise there are a lot of connectors, maybe a little bit too much, and the quantity is high, the quality varies.
Not always the same.
I wouldn't say the quality is bad, but depending on the connector, very good connectors, but also very immature connectors. So before you really bet on a connector, and there's also difference between Logic App Standards and Logic Apps Consumption, I would say just give it a spin, play around with it for one day, make sure, check out, is it reliable, does it have all the features that I need? Before you continue with your architecture exercise. That's a lesson learned from Bill. And I can only agree on that. Indeed, yes. Also throttling, for example, is also an important one to check. How much throughput can I get with my connector and these kind of things.
Needs to be
but this is good, well documented. It was not documented 5 years ago, but now these throttling limits and so on are very well documented.
It's all there.
So check out the documentation. but also go one step further and just give it a spin.
Exactly. Yeah, do a decent POC on it.
Yes.
Because indeed, and there's also back in the days with BizTalk, you could also develop your own adapters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, it sounds like pretty easy. Oh, hey, I can do that. I can't do it with everything I have in my toolkit, so I just develop a new adapter myself. But that as well, it wasn't really recommended, right? Because if you want to really make it enterprise ready, it takes much more.
Yeah, it was a tough job to write an adapter, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And here you kind of see the same. It just takes a little bit more than just pick up a message and do some processing and think it's done. Because indeed, that works maybe for 10, 100, 1,000 messages. But if you have to process 100,000 messages in a limited amount of time, all kind of other parameters become important.
How do you handle the closing of connections, reopen and stuff?
Yeah.
Then you get into the hardcore stuff, and then it becomes a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, exactly. But that as well is a very common practice, right? Do a POC, do a proper test, and don't get yourself pushed by the deadlines, project deadlines, and that kind of stuff. But just do your work properly. And only then proceed, because afterwards the pain might not be so fine.
Indeed, yeah. Invest a little bit time up front, and it will save you some headaches afterwards.
True. Yeah. Then as well, you will sleep better on 2 eyes.
Maybe then it will succeed. Yeah.
Mike also had a suggestion. That dealt with the ISE.
Yeah. Integration service environment, indeed, because there. He made back in the days for a customer the decision to go for the ICE, the integration service environment, because at that time Logic App Standard didn't exist. Integration service environment was actually the only option to have enterprise networking, enterprise performance, and so on. So to be honest, I would have made the same decision, I think most of us. So I don't think it's really a mistake, but the lesson learned from it is very important. If you start using a new service, because the integration service environment gets retired in August, I guess it is. You don't know that always up front, but at least do a little validation. Is the service not yet GA? Don't use it. And if the service exists already for a while, have a look. And that's of course very difficult, but check how heavily the life cycle, and check how heavily Microsoft is investing in it. If you don't see any updates for the last year, probably it's moving towards deprecation and so on. We saw that, for example, with Azure AD B2C. It does what it has to do, but from a developer perspective, it doesn't make you happy and stuff. And the last 2 years, we didn't see any big investments in Azure AD B2C. So I had the feeling somewhere this will get deprecated, but there was no alternative. And now a few months ago, they came up with the Microsoft Entra ID for external users. And then you see, okay, let's wait for it to become GA, and then let's drop the Azure AD B2C. But the lesson learned is there, look at the life cycle. And on the other hand, people and organizations need to start preparing for deprecations, because now we are 6, 7, 8 years, I guess, in the Azure cloud. Services start getting deprecated, but also some features of specific services. And it will become a challenge. Like in the past, on premises, you had to upgrade your SQL service, your Windows service every now and then. We are not in such a constant cycle, but every now and then you will have to deal with deprecations. And that's an important thing that organizations, they will need to organize themselves to make sure that they don't hit supported, that they don't get support anymore. For example, API management. This summer also the V1 platform version gets deprecated and you need to migrate to the V2. There, the advice that I give is that within Azure Advisor, in your Azure environment, go to Azure Advisor. It has a few workbooks, and one of these workbooks shows you all the deprecations in your environment. So that's very valuable. You just with one look, you see, I have 5 services that maybe this year will get deprecated, so I'll need to do so, take action. So you see, Microsoft is aware of that. In the past, we had Tom Kerkhoven with a nice community initiative to get you informed about deprecations. I'm now happy to see that it's becoming more and more part of the Azure platform itself. It's still in preview. It's still a workbook within Azure Advisor, but I'm pretty sure
It's a good start.
Microsoft will. I don't think they have another option to even deal better with it and to make it more visible within the platform.
Yeah.
Because now they're just sending emails, but if you get too many emails,
you simply won't
get rid of them.
So, you simply won't read them.
So that's for all the people who are listening, maybe also, if you're not aware of it, go to the dashboard and check for your environments. So just Azure Advisor, a workbook, and there you have the lifecycle management workbook that you can.
That's a good tip. This is also inherent on how the concept of Azure, right? New technologies arrive. Other top technologies got deprecated. It's constantly evolving, but also changing.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That can impact your solution.
And it depends on what kind of services you're using. If you're using AKS and app services and SQL database, I don't think there's an issue because the whole world is using them.
Yeah.
If you go more into a niche thing like IoT services have been deprecated lately, a few of them. Also Azure Integration Service Environment was kind of niche back in the days. So these are more, of course, those kind of services have a little bit higher risk because the usage is just lower.
Yeah.
And it's simple if it's not profitable for Microsoft anymore. Yeah. Over time they will move to something.
Yeah, move it out. Yeah.
Which is makes sense, of course.
Yeah.
But not good news for.
No, you're using it right. Yeah. We've even seen it with one of our own products back then. It was Server 360, currently Turbo 360. They also deprecated, what was it, a kind of web jobs.
The web jobs indeed.
Yeah, they also got deprecated.
But if you fully rely on that, it's a hard task to migrate. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So of course, if you are normally you are informed well in time, right? It's not like they're going to do it next week.
No, and I think they have an official commitment also that it's I think 2 years up front or even 3. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But
quite some time.
There's some dedication on that. That's at least it's X years up front.
It's happening.
I don't know exactly how long.
Yeah. We're coming to the end of the podcast. I don't know if you have maybe something else, maybe even something that you didn't share during the session.
Maybe what I want to share is mostly that, and I see that too little organizations do it. That you need to invest in an Azure governance. People start building integration solutions, building applications, building Gen AI solutions, all fantastic. But you're building the walls of your house, but you don't have the fundaments right. So it's all about getting your fundaments right. It's about identity. It's about network security. Make sure that is right. Naming convention. How do you split subscriptions? The whole subscription hierarchy. How do you manage that? How you will split environments? All these kind of things. How will you do your DevOps? Who gets access to the Azure environment? Make sure that you get that right, and then you can get velocity on all your projects that you're doing.
Yeah.
But now too often I see we go to customer sites. I'm asking, is there any governance?
Sorry, what?
Governance? Maybe no, it's not here, the governance. So and that's of course dangerous stuff. We try to do then, of course, from our side, if we do projects, we try to do a little governance on the scope where we get access to, and we try to push the customer to do the governance on enterprise level. But there's a lot of awareness that still needs to be taken into account, which is a little bit normal because, in Azure, typically just developers or architects, they start introducing Azure in the organization without the organization completely being prepared. So that's normal, of course, that's the governance a little bit lags behind. But now I think the time is ready. Azure is already a long time there, so now make sure you get your governance rights.
Yeah. Well, wise words. Thank you, Toon. Nice session. Has been entertaining.
Thanks for having me again. So always a pleasure to be here in London. It's a very nice
certainly.
Conference.
Yeah. So much fun, right? So many friends again. Year over year again.
Indeed. Yes.
So just so great to be here. Well, and we're very happy to have you again here again, of course.
Thanks for that. Yes.
You enjoy the rest of the conference.
Cool.
And to our audience, we hope that you like this episode as well, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Bye-bye.